Hey, family! It's time for Winedown with your host, Missy, and the Winedown Wednesday crew. Join us tonight as we discuss topics that affect families on a daily basis. So grab your glass, your cup, or even your blanket. Settle in on the couch and join us in the room as we go live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hola, family, and welcome to another live version of Winedown Wednesday. I am your host, Missy, and I'm a doula and owner of Hands of Melody Doula Services. We service the lower PA all the way down into Northern Virginia area. So if you need us, all of our information will be at the end of the show. So reach out. We would love to be there for you. We don't just help out with birthing moms. We also care for postpartum mommies, which our show next week will actually be about. We're going to have a couple of postpartum doulas on the show that talk about the need for a postpartum doula. I know we talk about postpartum services, like you have a baby, we're there with you, we come check up on you a couple of times, but there's a great need for postpartum doulas. So they're going to actually talk about what they are, because I think like people don't know what doulas are. They don't know what postpartum doulas are. They're not nannies. They're not babysitters. They're actually there to take care of the postpartum mommy. So we're going to talk about that. Joining me on the show, as always, is some very familiar faces. We have Rachel in the room. We have Angie. We have TJ. We have Sharon. And we have Nick, who will join us on camera in just a little bit. Tonight, we're going to continue and end in the final part of this series, When to Call the Doctor. We've talked about several things over the last couple of weeks, and we strategically did this because right now there's what is being called the triple threat out here, which is COVID, flu, and RSV that's affecting our littles. So some have had all of it. We've had the gamut to run through our group, unfortunately. And so our mommies have had to reach deep down into their mommy bags, mommy groups, everything, and pull out all the stops and try to figure out, how do we take care of these little people? And the sad part about it is some of us have had to take care of the littles while we are sick. We always hear the saying, when you're on an airplane, put your oxygen mask on first before you try to put the babies on, because you can't take care of them if you're not taking care of yourself first. It's a true statement, and that's hard. That brings mommy guilt when they are, especially if you get sick and they're like, mommy, 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 and you are dragging yourself off the couch or can't drag yourself off the couch, or if they have a fever and you have a fever, and it's nothing you can do. And we can't really take away mommy guilt, but we're here to say that all of us are struggling with that in some way, shape, or form. And at some point in your little's life, they are not going to feel well, whether it's really severe, which we always pray that it's not, or they just don't feel really well. We're going to talk about some of the things that we have tried. Again, we thank Dr. Tiffany Lowe for coming on last week. She was a wealth of knowledge, and we really, really appreciate her being in the room with us. So thank you again. If you are watching, we so appreciate you all the way down there in Raleigh, North Carolina. We appreciate the shout out. And just coming to talk to us. So tonight, again, I'm going to put this disclaimer out there. We are not doctors, nor do we play them on TV. We are parents. We are parents. We are in a parent role tonight, and we're going to talk about that. So if you have questions, we're going to pose the questions to the group. We do have people that are monitoring the chat. So if you have a question, remember there's about a 20-second delay. So if we give an answer and then there's a follow-up question, it may be a little bit of lapse in time. So we're going to talk about that. We see Sheen just joined us in the room. Hey, mama. So everybody, welcome. We're going to say no hate speech, and your choice is your choice. So if you choose to do none of the things that we recommend, it's okay. If you choose to take our what we do, then that's okay. So we are really just hoping that something that we says, as they used to say in church, blesses your heart. Something that is said ministers to your soul. So here we go. We're going to start the conversation off. I know we're just getting over RSV. Oh, thank God they are. If you hear them in the background, I apologize. They are all over the house and they have to make up for the time that they were down. So they're back in the living room in princess dresses, taking selfies and running up and down the steps. So I apologize if you hear them tonight. So that's what we've been dealing with. We're on the mend. What else have you ladies been dealing with, if anything, big or small, that may take you a little out of sorts right now or recently?
I think we're just getting over a cold. I think it was a cold, because he had a cold, just, you know, the usual, just runny nose, whatever. Then he got over it.
Then you got sick.
And then,
Then you got sick.
Yeah. Then he got sick again, and I got sick taking care of him the second time. And I got knocked off my feet, completely done for, could not function at all. And then he got better, and I'm like, okay, you're doing good. But now I'm seeing, like, he's not sneezing and stuff, but it's just the runny nose thing is back all over again. So it's like, okay, so me and Dr. Knows Best are like besties right now. But I laid off a little bit because me and Jaden be fighting every morning for me to do his nose. But
so what is the Dr. Knows Best? Tell people what Dr. Knows Best.
Dr. Knows Best is a suction device that you use to get the mucus out of your child's nose. And it's electronic, so you don't have to do the manual Mama Frida, whatever. The old one where you put it in your mouth and you suck it with your breath. This one, you literally press a button and it's the whole thing makes noise and it automatically. But I'm telling you, it gets everything out. It gets everything out without you putting yourself, at risk of getting some of the germs by you sucking it out of your kid's nose. They will still fight you and probably punch you to death. But, you know, when they're done, my kid looks at me, he's like, huggies. I'm like, yeah, now you want to hug me, but you could breathe, so it's okay. But yeah. So you plug it in every so often just to charge, and then you use it. And I recommend it, like Cherie always says, like, if I never knew this existed, but everybody, and you could use it for when your kid is really, really young. It's just you use a lower suction, but yeah.
So if one of the ladies could drop it in the Facebook Live, that would be good, the link, because people might want to get it. Because I for one, this is me, this is the book of Missy. Never could put that thing in there and suck it out, even if it was a filter or straw or whatever. It just, like, the thought of it grosses me out. Like, I can't do it. So, and the fight is real. You have not been in a fight until you have fought an infant or a toddler trying to suction their nose. It's like they turn into an octopus. You get one arm and they get the other arm. It's like you gotta get them in a headlock, a leg lock, all of that stuff to get the nose clean. Because if not, you're gonna wipe, it's gonna run. You're gonna wipe, like, you gotta get it all. And sometimes you can just hear it and it's just running. But that's like a 12-round fight on the playground. They don't play fair. They
so
grab.
Me and Steven have it. We have it down to a science now. He hates me. So what I do is I sit him like this. He has to sit in between my legs. So his butt sits here in between my legs. I take him, I put him right here. His head is here. I take this arm, I put it around my back. I grab this arm with this hand. And then I use this elbow to keep the legs down while suctioning. And then if he really get wild and crazy, like if he's extra whatever, and that's why he has to sit right here. I drop this leg, the butt and the feet fall through, hook him with the other leg. I got him in a choke.
But when he sees it, does he automatically run? Is it like a chase?
Yes,
first?
that is my kid. He sees it, it's like, no. And he's right. So I shut the bedroom door. I'm like, you ain't got nowhere to go. So now I'm like, no, I'm just putting it away. And he thinks, no, this is the time. Yeah, he runs.
Yep. So, question: have any of you ever, like, in your stuffy moments, tried it to see what the babies go through?
I have. Y'all ain't done it yet? So that thing right on my nose too.
Is it because I always wonder,
it's
like,
too small.
It's too small. Oh yeah.
No, I ended up getting
really good suction like I get on him. It's just it's meant for a smaller nasal passage.
Yeah.
Okay. So which
for
I
adults,
appreciate.
What I will recommend for adults, it is worth the money. The Navage. I think I posted it in our group. It's and I don't know basically if you want to show it on the screen. It's the Navage. You'll find it on Amazon. It's the nose aspirator that uses saline, where it puts the liquid up one nose and comes out the other.
Oh
no, trust me. Listen.
Okay.
I said the same thing, but I bought that.
Bottle.
It is, yes. It is amazing. Amazing.
So let me ask you this,
it don't
Rachel.
make you feel like you're about to choke to death?
No.
So let me ask you this.
How does it feel? Your palate closed, and you'll see like the reservoir water. See, look, there you go.
I hate this thing.
Oh, see, it's a.
Why? You don't keep your palate closed? Does it go down your throat? Is that why?
I just feel like I'm choking the water because you have to turn it on. Like I can do the neti pot. That right there is just too much. Like that water be flowing too fast. I don't like it.
Yeah. I believe you. Because when I have like the squeegee bottle type of neti pot. I forgot what that thing is. The doctor, whatever. My doctor recommends it. And I swear to God, man, sometimes when I'm putting that thing up my nose, I feel the salt smack my brain. And there's this feeling of like this painful tingle, like, yeah, you should have done that, girl.
Painful tingle. I don't like that. My whole nose be on fire.
I don't like that either.
No. I love seeing all the mucus in the water when I finish it. I'm like, oh, so this is all the stuff that was in my nostrils? Yep.
You feel like you'll be watching Dr. Pimple Popper.
Oh, yeah. I watch that. I just can't do it.
I watch that.
I can't do it on myself.
Yeah. I'd be like, ooh, she's gonna get all of it.
But I just wonder what the babies go through, because the suction, like the bulb suction, they still like let me do that sometimes. Every now and again, like Shay is like, I know running, and she's good. Beanie is like my nose running, and she's running with it away. And then she's sitting on my bed trying to do it herself. Talking about, mommy, I do it. Ma'am, you're not doing nothing but sticking that thing in your nose. So, but I'm hoping that maybe over time. But I know if I hit some button and they hear like a hum, them girls ain't letting me do that. They're not.
So with Steven, I've had times when he's been very congested, and I've used that when we've been fighting, and he'll get away from me because sometimes you just let him go because you're tired of getting beat up, and you let him go, and so I let him go, and he'll go, and I'm like, "Are you breathing better?" And he's like, I'm like, "Come here, let me finish," and he'll come right back over to me, and he'll still be crying.
See, I can't do it. I can't do it. And that's, but I hate like you turn around and you just see it. I'm gonna tell y'all, I was like, you a real mom, because today when I was outside putting up my Christmas decorations, don't judge my life. I can't do it when it's cold. I was just putting them up because it was warm. But we was outside and the girls were outside running, and I called Beanie for something. She turned around. And I just took my whole sleeve, and I was like, oh yeah, you a real mom today. Like I had that mom moment, like, did I just wipe your nose with my shirt, ma'am? I mean, but what?
I got you one, Melissa. I did the same thing with the underside of my shirt because I was out in public, and I didn't.
You didn't
I
want
snot running down
and
the
I've
skin.
used my nail to drag that one straggly boogie. I'm like, hold on, going right up in there.
That's what your nails are for. That's to get that.
What'd you say, Nick? I take Miles's own shirt and pull it up and pull them boogers right now.
You rude. You rude. That's
He'd be like, "Oh, boogies." I'm like, "They're yours."
Yes, Nick. That's rude. You just
right on the inside of his shirt. He changes his outfit twice a day. I don't change my twice a day, so he can get a shirt. I can't get a new shirt.
See, I'm not fooling with y'all. So, is anybody giving anybody anything to dry the mucus up, or are we? And if you are, like, preface it with your little person's age, because I don't want people thinking that you could just be out here giving stuff. But is anybody giving anything holistic, homeopathic, or over the counter? Like, is anybody trying anything that seems to be helping that at all?
Well, I can't say that I'm trying something new, but that he has allergies and he regularly has Flonase. So Flonase Sensimist. So in talking with both his pediatrician and my doctor, they actually prefer Flonase to Benadryl or to any type of nasal spray, even for adults. So when I was really sick and my doctor said, why don't you get yourself a bottle of the same Flonase you give your son? I'm like, I don't have allergies. He said, so what? It's going to clear up your nose. It's going to dry up the sinus things. And he was like, I was abusing Afrin. And he was like, I would prefer you to get rid of the Afrin and use the Flonase. So.
But all of them will give eventually, this was just me. All of them will eventually give you a nosebleed. Like if you continuously use those things.
So
have you ever had
his doctor is not the regular. So there's two kinds of Flonase. There's Flonase, and then there's Flonase Sensimist. The Sensimist is a lower dosage and a finer mist that comes out. So Stephen has been on Flonase Sensimist daily for it, and it is meant for daily use. Daily for, I want to say, close to a year now. And
is it prescribed or is it over the counter?
It is over the counter, but prescribed.
Prescribed, okay.
And so it is prescribed, but I've been getting it over the counter because it's the same dang thing. And actually, I found out that my pharmacist will charge me more for slapping the sticker on there.
Wait, go to Walmart. Wait a minute. Because
no, I stopped buying it. I stopped paying. I just pay for it. I just got to order from anywhere.
We get Zyrtec cheaper. We get it for like $1.74 with a prescription label on it, or whatever it costs out on the floor. So I always get a prescription because I get the generic too. So we don't get Zyrtec, we get cetirizine. It's the same thing.
Let me find out. We're gonna have to talk
Find out because it's cheap.
Because I just ordered for pickup some more Zyrtec from whatchamacallit for $21.99.
I'm telling you, I get it.
I go through that stuff.
I'm just saying. All right, what else we got floating around the group? Been a lot of talk. We got a lot of talk. Who else is going to?
I use Highlands, the little tablet. I like those. Michelle put me on those. So, and they actually work because one day Jackson Nose was going and I was like, I don't know what to give you. I was giving him like cold and I was like, but no, that's not for the mucus. And it dried him right in like 2 days. So I love that stuff. I keep that on hand.
What is it?
Highlands tablets. Yeah, they have a daytime and a nighttime.
Can you drop the link on Facebook?
Yeah, I'll drop it.
Go ahead, Sharon.
And I was going to say, I've used Highlands too. I used the liquid that we give her when she was having a lot of the runny nose and cough. We gave her the Highlands cough and mucus. And it's, to my understanding, it's made with all herbals, especially when I read the packet. And then because she's not 2, you can't, well, when I read the information at the drugstore, you're not supposed to give a child an antihistamine under the age of 2. And that's how I've read on the packages. So I've just been looking for something to help dry her up. And so that's what I found as well as Sheena was the Highlands. Yeah. And it works great for her.
2, yeah, he's been on Benadryl since he's been like 6 months.
Oh. And that's the thing. So Benadryl. Go ahead, Nick.
I was just gonna say, like, we do Claritin, but it doesn't dry him up. I think we just do it for his allergies. But Claritin and are one of those things where it's supposed to be like not 2 and up. So my doctor told us the amount.
Okay.
And whatever, and then even just being who I am, I give him a little bit less than that too. I just made him an appointment on Monday to see an allergist because it's not even that my son has a runny nose, but every morning, like we just know he has like 2 or 3 back-to-back disgusting sneezes, and it like shoots out, and it's like thick globs of snot, and I just can't figure out what it is. Like, we don't do anything super scented in the house. Our laundry detergent's not super scented, but every single morning he does these sneezes, and I don't know why.
Well, the girls are like that with coughing in the morning. It's like when they first get up, they cough to the point where it sounds like they're going to choke like they're choking on it. And then after they get moving and everything is gone. So I don't know if it's because everything settles when they're asleep and everything is draining back. And then as soon as they get up, their body's trying to clear what they didn't clear overnight. But it's the same thing because my husband and I were talking about it like 2 days ago. I was like, have you noticed the cough is almost gone? But first, then you get up in the morning, it's like, why are you coughing like that? But then by maybe 10 o'clock or so, you don't hear them coughing anymore. They still have this drainage foolishness that's going on from their nose, but the cough has calmed down. So
I'm making it my mission to teach my kid how to spit out mucus.
Yes,
it's like he coughs and then I'm like, oh, it's right there, and I watch him and I'm like, no, I needed that. Like, if I can put my hand in your mouth, just give me that.
I don't know if I would put
good luck.
I'm like, spit, and he goes. I'm like, no, bring that up.
No, I needed that.
Yeah.
Hey, Nikki, have you does Miles use a pillow, or like does he elevate his head? Because like I actually have the same issue, and even though I don't really do it, I notice that if I'm elevated overnight, it's not as bad.
Probably drains.
That's what I had unmuted to say, that's why they say to try to elevate them when they're sick, because it helps kind of try to drain it down instead of them like.
He just moves so much, and that's why I made this allergy.
That's my thing too.
It was like, if it's just one of those things, or if it's something that I could give him, or something I could do, or put in his room. Like, he sleeps with a air purifier in his room all the time. Like, it's almost always on. We don't even do any we don't do any essential oils. Like, there's no plugins in his. There's nothing scented. Like, nothing that I feel like could agitate him to even make him sneeze, to even have that much mucus. I don't know. I mean, maybe when she tells me, when I get an answer, I don't know. But I kind of like, it's been like this for months, and I've literally just been like, oh yeah, that's just his thing. Like, every morning he just does this. But I finally was like, maybe I should ask someone about this. Like, because this is a lot of snot every day.
Well, at least he's getting it up, because it could be just sitting in there, and that's when the lung.
During the day, it does not happen after a nap. So maybe that's not long enough, for the buildup, but it doesn't happen during the nap. It doesn't happen outside. Like, I can't figure out why it happens.
Yeah, we had the same thing. They don't sneeze, they cough. And it's just like, it's coughing to where you hear them gag, and then it's gone. Like, it's only within maybe the first 30 minutes of them waking up, and then like we're fine after that. So another thing is everybody's going through teething, and teething does that low grade that 100 under or under 100, not 101, 100 or under. And so we're all kind of going through that. I also notice when they're teething, y'all know, especially when they're younger, they drool a lot. They tend to sometimes be a little more stuffy. they like the
And we,
More
I
irritable.
did,
soothe. Go ahead, Nick.
I was just gonna say, as a group, I think we've all kind of noticed too, like they're aggressive. When they're older, they're like physically pushing you off. They're inconsolable. It's almost like night terrors in the middle of the night. They just wake up angry, I think because they're in pain and they don't know how to communicate it. I was not expecting that. Like I had heard about the drooling and the fever and not wanting to eat his food like he normally wants to eat his foods. But I was so thrown off by how aggressively angry and inconsolable he was. And then I think Ayana mentioned that it happened with her too. And a couple of us, it happened when they're teething. Like they just get mean.
Yeah, or they can start biting. Biting
Yeah.
is also a sign of teething, and that constant need to bite down on something. And when they're smaller, you can give like under a year, you can give them little things to bite on. But when they in that 2-year mark, you can't really give them a teether, a teething ring, or anything
I don't
like
know why
that.
they won't take it.
They won't. So that's
I know, but why won't they?
You want to please chew on plastic? Like they like this.
If I had a sore tooth and chewing on some plastic would make it feel better, yes, I would
But
chew on
see,
some
children
plastic.
are in the right now. It's that this is not edible. So you keep telling me stop put stuff in my mouth. Now you want to give me a piece of plastic and tell me put it in my mouth, like make it make sense. And they're not gonna do it. So they can
said that to me today.
They can
I
sort of got my dentist said that to me today, and I was like, she needs to meet you.
What'd you say, Sheena?
I give Jax frozen breast milk for him to chew on, and he loves it. He being 7, so that's what I give him when he start putting his fingers in his mouth where I know he's teething, because I swear he has like 4 teeth coming in, like 4 teeth coming in every time. He's been going through that for like the last couple months. So I give him frozen breast milk, and he sits there and he tears it up. In 7 heaven. I'm like, you getting some nutrients and your gums are being soothed. Win-win.
So how do you give it to him? Explain to us what do you put it in? How do you give it to him?
So I have little silicone trays that I put them in. So they're small, like they're small enough for him to like hold in his hand. Because like they're usually cold, so he'll like pop it in and spit it back out and pop it in and spit it back out. But yeah, they're like small enough. I got them from Michael's.
Oh, nice. So you creative ways. We also had they look like pacifiers, but they have the silicone on the top, and you can put like fruit and different things in there that they can bite on, and that really was a lifesaver. Because again, if it didn't have any flavor other than a dang pacifier, they would throw it away. So if you put it in the silicone, that biting down, sometimes they will take that. It can be frozen, whatever you want to freeze. And if you're not breastfeeding, you can put formula in there and freeze them. You can get the silicone trays. If somebody can drop the silicone trays in the group, you can get those and put them in there, let them freeze, and you can bite on it. I know we talked about during the summer, you could put blended fruit, you can make smoothies, all of that stuff, and put it where it's frozen and let your littles bite on that, and that'll soothe. Sometimes you can, I wouldn't recommend it, but to each his own. Put your finger in there and see if you feel the budding of the teeth. Sometimes if you can get them to open up their mouths, especially the ones in the front, that seems like that gives them the most. It's like the first couple of teeth come in, it's like, whoa, like it's all over the top. The other ones in the back, yeah, but they come in a little bit later, and they deal with them, it seems to me, a little bit differently than those front teeth. But you'll be able to see, for a first-time mom that has a little one that may or may not be teething, you don't always see the buds at the beginning of the teething. It's got to work its way up to where you can see it. You'll start seeing like drooling and all of this, and more biting and biting and biting. You go through bibs, you go through t-shirts, you go through shirts. There's like, the drool is unbelievable. You just be like, close your lip. Why are we doing all of this? But it has to work its way. So just because you don't see the buds yet doesn't mean that they're not there. But if you can see them, sometimes it's a good sign to, start doing some things.
And we may have talked about this on our last call, like additional remedies and stuff, like the humidifiers in the room. If your kid is sick, with like Vicks vapor in it to help soothe them, that works wonders for my son, for him not to cough at night. So he literally sleeps through the night every time he's sick when I have that on. And then I also do the Vicks on the chest and the bottom of the feet and on the back, on his back, and then onions in their socks.
Talk about
that. Hey, Rachel.
Talk about that.
Oh, I ain't doing no onions. My aunt used to do that crap to me. When you do Vicks, have you graduated from baby Vicks to regular Vicks on him yet? Or are you still using baby Vicks?
No, I'm still on baby Vicks.
Yeah.
Just because he's still using because he also has the vapor stuff that's also smelling up the room. Like, I don't want to suffocate him, because the normal Vicks is insane. Yeah, that's what I use. Yep.
We still use that too. We'll probably use that. I probably till they go to kindergarten. I ain't even gonna lie. We just keep that until.
And he doesn't even like stress me when I'm like, here you go, lift up your chest. He's like, this.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And he'll wait. I'm like, okay, the smell is enough, but it's not overbearing.
He use it too, and I've done all my stuff on Drive Up, but I randomly went in Target for something one day, and they have a baby one that's actually lavender scent. It's don't you know I love me a good Drive Up. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. I went in Target today too, but they have one that's lavender scent.
I hope y'all played y'all lotto. Sorry.
I'm sorry. What happened? What am I missing? Did I miss it?
That was so
it's $1 billion. There's enough for everybody.
$1 billion, like a billion with a B.
Powerball is $1 billion. Last time I checked, Mega is 400 million.
Yeah,
I got time tomorrow.
1.2.
Huh?
I said, to be exact, it's like $1.2 billion.
Facts. Wow. Yep.
This is
lavender.
I don't know if that was the baby. That's what I was getting ready to say. I don't know if it was a baby one or if it was the like full out adult one. But yeah.
I don't think lavender soothes my kid, because I keep buying Honest body wash that's lavender scent. I'm like, this kid is still a terror when he gets in the bedroom. I'm like, ain't this supposed to be calm by now?
So you know what? To be really
honest, you know how my kid is at daycare. I'm like, yo, wind down.
I don't really give him a lot of topical lavender.
Nothing.
Lavender, and I want to say soy. I want to say it's lavender and soy that have, what's that word they call when they make boys grow breasts?
What, the hormone?
They're the word for it. They're the actual.
I know boys shouldn't have soy, but and
I believe lavender too. I think it's lavender as well. So I don't do topical lavender. I let him breathe it. So like the essential oil, let him breathe it. So I use a tab, but I actually don't put it physically on his body. I know it's supposed to be an absurd amount of it. You're supposed to overuse it, but I think it's both Zoe.
I was not expecting that.
Wow. Master something. What's it called? Master.
I need you to research an article while we're on here, because I need you to drop that in, because I need to know about that. I need to know.
It's when they're
hold on.
Oh, Sharon's talking. Go ahead, Sharon.
No, I was like, I'm forgetting the name, but you're right. It starts with it's a masto. Fermented something. I can't even think of the name right now. I'm totally flaking on the name.
But yeah, it's soy and lavender.
It's the hormone that enlarges. It's like an estrogen can cause breasts to enlarge or develop on men.
Is it? And it's in soy and lavender. Why we just hear about the lavender?
Okay. So according to the NIH, lavender and tea tree oil may cause breast growth in boys. So I'll drop
tea tree oil too.
That's what it just said. I mean, I didn't even think about tea tree oil. So thank God we ain't got to the tea tree oil stage yet, because I believe in that stuff. You know how you remember
tea tree oil.
Yeah. So I'll drop the
tea tree oil. We never heard this.
I never heard that before in my life.
Yeah. So I don't actually physically put lavender on him, but I do give him lavender to smell, because it's still good for you.
How serious is that? Because WIC, when I told them that my son like could not have regular like dairy milk, they were like, oh, well, we can provide you soy. And I was like, ain't he not supposed to have soy?
Yeah, I know about the soy. I didn't know about the tea tree or the lavender. Like, we want
like Marilyn WIC would not recommend, like, not tell me that
please.
I need benefits.
I work with the federal government on a daily basis. They will recommend whatever it is that is the lowest cost denominator. For example, milk. Do you know that the reason why milk does a body good is because of the American milk farmer had an overabundance of milk and they needed PR. So there is actually no studies that say that you should be drinking milk so far into adulthood the way that our government encourages us to. That's just a boon to the dairy farmer to keep them in business. So don't think that the government says it's okay. It's okay.
Milk. Anyway, the way my stomach is set up, we don't do milk anyway. So, I want to put this in here real quick while we're talking about what's going to help. Because I know we got mommies with littles don't feel well right now. This is also one of the things that we have done with the little the shower tablets. You take them, you put it in the bottom of your shower, and you stand in the shower with your little and let the water hit the tablet, and those vapors, they rise up and they open up. It's another Vicks, but you don't have to put it on them. You don't have to, like, it's not coming in contact with their skin at all. But this is something that we've also tried. So I hope the NIH ain't saying we can't use them no more, because we all just gonna be shut down.
And I think one of the other important things, and shout out to one of our mommies that's going through this right now, is I think one of the first things is to trust your instincts.
Yes.
Right? Like, if it's your first time, go to all the urgent care for kids and take all the tests and all that stuff. Even if you have to journal symptoms and times of days and what you've given them and all that stuff, like what's going on, darn whoever else gives their opinion and all that of like, oh, well, you're exaggerating, whatever. Yeah, let me exaggerate, but then let the doctor tell me, oh, it's just a cold. Okay, thank you, I feel better. Because God forbid that temperature goes up a little higher and 1 degree too high.
Yep.
Right? So I would say trust your instinct and do all the visits to, and I think Nikki mentioned it earlier of, you're paying for it, so why not, right? And leverage all those resources that you have. If you don't happen to have a community like ours that you can reach out to, use your medical community that you are paying for.
And even like emphasis on all of those resources. So like if it's the middle of the night, which it almost always seems to be, go to like nighttime or right time pediatrics, whatever they are. And then in the morning, go to your regular pediatrician during their sick hours. And then if something's still going on the next night, take them back. Like before I found out that my son had like the one condition he had before he was even 1 year old, we went to right time pediatrics probably 3 times.
Yep.
We like his dad was like, he's fine. And like people in my family started to get to the like, well, he's fine. Well, he must be fine because ain't nothing happened yet. And I'm like, yeah, but no, like he's not himself. And then finally we have a family friend who's a doctor, and she gave me a term and she was like, go back and say this word and ask, does he have this? And like, do not leave until they test for this. And he had it, and he had to get an air enema. We had to go to Children's Hospital in DC. And I just am so thankful that I went and asked the questions and went more than once. And I mean, because we're encouraging you to go to doctors because it's better than sitting at home on Dr. Google. But even when you do go to the doctor, they are people and they are on a shift. And you could go and have one who doesn't know as much as the next one, or is having a bad day, or, just saw a case like yours and now they're generalizing your child. And it's not to discourage you from going, but it's to say, don't not go more than once because you feel like you're annoying, or because you feel like, well, I already went and they have in the file that I already went yesterday. Go again, go again.
One thing that I did that I learned after like multiple times of my kid being sick is when things are happening at home, videotape it.
Yes.
By the time you get to the doctor, that may not happen. And if I'm telling you, it doesn't present as well as, because I felt he was wheezing. And I'm like, there's something, I think either you guys or my sister, who's also a nurse, was like, he needs a nebulizer, like a breathing treatment. But of course, when we're there, this kid is running around making me look like, you know, the car that went to the mechanic with no problem. I said, oh, I have a video. She was like, you do? And I gave it to her. She's like, oh. And then sure enough, after he exerted his energy, he started presenting the exact same thing, luckily. And she was like, no, yeah, we're going to give you a nebulizer. Like he needs to.
And on that note, diapers, save diapers. If their stool looks a little funny, keep the diaper. If they threw up and it's on a t-shirt, put the t-shirt in a baggie, bring it all. Take pictures too, but because it's, you know, the diaper's going to change. But like he wouldn't go to the bathroom while we were there. He wouldn't use the restroom. He'll never go to the bathroom, but anyway, he wouldn't poop. And they needed a sample and they scraped it out the diaper I brought. Like, so bring all of that stuff.
And that's it. And it's to the point too of taking notes, because then you also need to know how often do they urinate? How often do they, because then you could see if there's a change where, wait, you haven't urinated in so long. Oh, wait, you're urinating and your urine is hella yellow in your diaper. You might be dehydrated, right? But then the stool thing I realized too is as they're getting better, they poop more because they're getting rid of all their stuff. As long as it's not diarrhea, then, you know, be mindful of that too. It's so many things that I never knew, and I start finding out as your kid gets sick. You're like, oh, let me file that in the memory bank. Another thing to know. So
until it's different too, and that's why people think you look crazy because okay, the daycare provider's having them for a few hours, and okay, the grandma saw them for a few hours, and okay, so and so saw them for a few hours, but you've seen them for this amount of time, multiple times. Like, just trust your gut, because you're right. You're going to go to the doctor and your kid is going to be, hi, and you're going to look crazy, but you remember what happened.
But part of it is,
you know what?
They have fevers, they crash. We all know they crash and burn, they have fevers. And the first thing we do, before we call the doctor, before we take them to the emergency room, before we give Tylenol or Motrin. And so by the time that we get them there, the medication has kicked in. And they all over the place. So the first thing they're doing is taking their temp, and it was like 98.6 when at the house it was 102. So document it. We always recommend the apps for new mommies, because you half sleep when you breastfeed and changing, so you can keep up with stuff. A lot of those apps run until they're 3+ years old. So even if you don't keep tracking, like we fed, because they kind of get into a more spread of time. Keep up with your doctor's appointments in that app. Keep up with their weight and their height.
Head circumference.
Keep up with medications in that app. Like, you know, even if you only use it when they go to the doctors, or if you have to give them medication, you can go back to, especially first time mommies, new mommies, you could be real frantic. Make sure you're documenting that stuff. So when you get there and they're asking questions, you can go back to your app. You don't have to use it as often, but we recommend that you still keep up with that app. If you have a little under 6 months old, you should not be given Motrin. You should not be giving Motrin to a little that's under 6 months old, only when they're above 6 months old. And during one of their well visits, you need to get that little chart from your pediatrician and ask what dosages they are, so that you can have it somewhere in your house. So if you have to give, because most of those bottles say under 2, see pediatrician or give as directed.
Yeah, and also a note about Motrin too that I learned is that if you are dealing with vomiting or any stomach issues with the sickness that you are treating with for fever, don't do Motrin. So their empty stomachs don't do well with Motrin. So we learned that when Rory was sick a few weeks ago, that you do not give Motrin on empty stomach, give them Tylenol. So yeah.
One of the things Dr. Thompson told me is that she said, like, when, you know, like you said, you give the medication as soon as you find that they have the temperature, and then you take them to the doctor and they're like, oh, I'm running around and feeling great. Your doctor knows enough about medicine to believe you when you tell them your kid had a fever. So don't feel like you have to show up with them still presenting that fever. But keep in mind that now that your fever has started to come down because you gave them medication, and this happened to me in the hospital, they'll forget because they didn't come presenting with that temperature, with that fever, to keep them on their schedule with their medication. So you're going to have to remember, hey, listen, I already gave them some medication. That's why their fever's down. Let's keep them on that schedule, because if they spike again, it'll take forever to get the fever back down. Yeah. And that actually happened to us when I had to go up and like, listen, his fever spiking. You need to give us something.
So I'm going to tell you a home remedy for that my mom did. This is old school. Remember, y'all, I'm a 70s baby, so just throw that out there. For being severely asthmatic. And Rachel, it made me think about it because you said he was wheezing and you got to the doctor's office and he wasn't wheezing anymore. What they discovered when I was young was my mother would do the same thing. She was like, you would be horrible. We get to the hospital and your wheezing was much less. And what she realized is because when we hit the air, I opened up more. And then they would, by the time I got to the doctor's, I was open a little bit more. And then I would crash and burn. Also, I know y'all don't want to hear this, but it started the addiction. They said, give me caffeine. Give me caffeine. And my mother, who I get my coffee addiction from, will give me a few sips of her coffee, ride with me to the hospital with the windows down. By the time I got there, my bronchioles were open enough. They hit me with the epinephrine and then I was wide open.
So are you recommending we do coffee?
No, you don't have to do coffee necessarily. You don't have to do coffee necessarily. But when it came to the breathing thing, and it was only a few sips because I was so little. But the doctor was just like, give her a couple of sips, ride with a little bit of fresh air. Then when you get there, like I wasn't so tight. And because it gave me a little bit of what that breathing machine is going to do. It's going to give you that, and it's going to give you that rush, get you open a little bit, and then let the medications come on board, as opposed to you being super tight and super close. That's kind of what started that road for me. So when my allergies are really, really bad, coffee ain't gonna do nothing at this point, really, because I just do it so much. But if I add like a candy bar or candy or something that has caffeine in it, then that will give me an extra dose on top of a breathing treatment. And I haven't been, this is for me almost 9-10 years I haven't been in the hospital. So for me, and it was every 6 weeks I was in the hospital. So that was my mom's trick to get me open and get me to the hospital and get me treated. But again, I'm a 70s baby. I ain't saying you got to do it, but it worked when it came to me. So y'all can laugh at me about my coffee, but I'm gonna keep having my 2 cups a day. I'm just throwing that out there. It's a remedy. It's a home remedy. So anybody else dealing with anything else? I know, Nick, you deal with allergies. You keep stuff on hand. I've seen it. You be like, where my bag? Where my bag?
So he has a EpiPen for like serious stuff. Thank God never had to use it. But we just keep Benadryl and a syringe, because like the last time we all hung out, we were good for like 2-3 hours. My son was fine. And then out of nowhere, something that only a mom would notice, I was like, okay, your eyes are a little glassy. And then he was rubbing his eyes, and they got puffy, then they got red. And within 10 minutes, it was like, he was looking like just wild. And so when I first saw the watery eyes, I gave him Benadryl. We took like a hot washcloth Dawn gave me, washed his face, washed his hands. And I think he's allergic to pets. That's where this is coming from. He's also allergic to nuts and other stuff, but I'm pretty sure he's allergic to pets. However, Dawn has a hypoallergenic dog, but even if they're hypoallergenic, their saliva. So remember at one point we all looked down and the kids were playing with the dog toy. Yes. Dog toys. So I think that's what happened. And that's another reason why I made his appointment for Monday, because I'm like, okay, I know people are allergic to pets and he's going to be around pets. I can't control that. We have cats in my neighborhood. Like, I just can't control it. So what can I do? Like, besides if I know I'm going somewhere where they have perhaps a non-hypoallergenic pet, which I just avoid altogether. But if I have to, I give them Benadryl in advance. But I wonder what people who are allergic to pets do. Like, I know some people get allergy shots and stuff like that, but
my husband's allergic to cats and dogs, and which is why we have the dogs that we have. And my son is also allergic to cats and dogs. And Dawn's dog is hypoallergenic. At least the older one is. I'm not sure about the puppy.
Both of them are.
Both of them are, okay. And so I did notice that Steven didn't have any issues with it, and he doesn't have any issues with our dogs either. And we have been told that they believe that some of it is exposure therapy. Because as Melissa can, say, the dogs have been there every day of his life. And even though he's been around a dog every single day his entire life, he still is popping positive with allergies to dogs and cats.
But so it depends on the size of the bubble. So for the allergy, when they do allergy testing, first of all, I think it's horrible on a child. I know it's very necessary, but it's horrible on me as an adult. But they do it on the children on their backs. So they
didn't do that one on him.
They did, which one? They did blood.
They did 100% blood tests on all of this.
No. So some children, it's skin sensitive.
They get a group from the blood group, and then they'll test them individually to see which one.
Because some things they say I'm allergic to, like I've had, and I have no, it's like I have an egg allergy. I can eat eggs and stuff. I can sit down sometimes and have like eggs, and it doesn't bother me. But when I had the flu shot with egg in it, it went totally left. So I can't do medications that have egg in it because I ended up in the ICU. So it just depends on how the exposure comes. Like Nick said, the kids were all playing and they were fine until we all looked down and they had both toys, and we were like, the dogs. And then we looked and Miles had gone left. So it just depends on the type, I guess, of exposure. But being prepared, that EpiPen, I'm preaching to myself because I don't know what my house is. Now.
I sound like a bad mom.
EpiPen, you make sure you have your EpiPen. Make sure you know how to use it.
What to do with it. Like, I got it. I don't know.
I know technically what to do with it, and I practiced on myself. Not the actual needle, the practice gun. They give you a practice.
Andrew was at the appointment. So I don't know. Maybe he knows.
So they gave me, did yours come with a practice gun?
Yeah.
That's what I used.
Can we practice it more than once? I don't know.
Yeah, you can just keep loading
it. They should give you a tester one so you can practice. Yeah, Nick. It don't have no
period. So like it's his Benadryl, a syringe, 2 syringes, and which I think I left it that day that we actually needed it. And his EpiPen are all in his diaper pouch. So it's not like, because sometimes I don't take his whole diaper bag. I just grab the pouch with a diaper and a wipe, and we've got that in there. But yeah, we keep that on hand. It also has Tylenol. I wrote like on a piece of masking tape the amount that he should have. Also, that if he's ever somewhere, people know this is how much you give him. I do the same thing on the Benadryl bottle, because if you read it, it says, ask a doctor. So I write on a piece of masking tape how much to give them.
That is a really good idea. I never would have thought of that, but that's a really, really good idea to make sure that the dosage is written on the bottle to make sure people give the correct dosage. But yeah, you're right. Throwing that, got to keep that, got to put the EpiPen in the bag, Nick.
I'm more so much concerned about this stupid asthma. I don't even be thinking about his allergy anymore. I swear to God, Nikki, I need to talk to you more.
The allergy will trigger the asthma, so don't.
I know. I actually threw him into an asthma issue one time because he takes 2 allergy medications. I forgot one of them, and he only took one, and he ended up with having a breathing issue. So I keep that albuterol, both the pump and the thing, on deck. But I don't even get the allergy medication.
Let me warn every parent whose child has to take a breathing treatment. who may have to take prednisone. First of all, prednisone is a medication that says if you're having trouble breathing, take this. But these are the side effects. I'm just going to throw it out there. It has it's amazing for your lung area, but the rest of your body, it's horrible. But we can breathe and then we'll deal with the rest of it later. I guess that's how they look at it. But it tells your body to get up and go. Like for a toddler, the breathing machine, it's like your body says, woo, breath of fresh air, let's run around. And the asthma is saying, sit down. And so you're like, when you stop running, you're wheezing, but the medication is making them want to run in circles. So just be forewarned that the two of those medications can make the child jittery, because every time I take a breathing treatment, it makes my hands tremble really bad until I kind of calm down. But it has the effect of opening you up, but it makes you wired. So if your little person has to go home with prednisone or with a breathing treatment, just know it. Second thing is prednisone, it causes insomnia. My God, it causes insomnia. It will throw off the sleep cycle, and you trying to figure out why your little is not going to sleep. Ask your doctor about that. My doctor would not give me anything for sleep for a long time. This is horrible to say. This is why I don't have her anymore. But I kept saying every time I'm on a prednisone, I'm wide awake all night long. And she was like, well, I'm not going to. And then she got sick and had some sort of something where she had to be on prednisone. And my next appointment, she was like, girl, wait a minute. So now I got to prove to you, because you got sick, that we're not doing that. So just throwing it out there, prednisone makes you super hyper, and it can throw off your little person's
albuterol too.
Albuterol too, but albuterol wears off a little bit faster. Prednisone is a constant, and it's usually a taper down for 7 to 10 days. So that is like a constant thing. So beware. It can make your face puffy. It can make their bones hurt. So if they say my legs hurt, or mommy, my knees hurt, or if they're just super cranky because they're too young to talk and they're on prednisone can make the bones hurt. And the weirdest thing, it can make your skin hurt. I know how weird that sounds, but you ever had a really bad bruise, and when you even touch your skin,
that's not weird. I know what you're talking about.
Yes,
it makes your
hurt. Yes. It does. It's like wearing clothes, and it's not on the taper up. It's usually on the taper down. So if you start and you're at your highest dosage, by the time you're 2 or 3 days from stopping the prednisone, you ache really bad and your skin is tender to the touch. So I'm just throwing that out there for people that right now they're doing prednisone because of breathing issues and allergies and fall and shenanigans. But that's just the thing. So everybody stay safe out here. The triple threat is in these streets. COVID numbers are back up. Fortunately, a lot of people are vaccinated, so less hospitalizations, but your littles are at risk of getting it just like you are. And this stuff is sitting some of them down. So whatever you do, whether it's medication, whether it's herbs, whether it's whatever it is, stay safe, be out here in the streets, still wipe your cart off when you go.
And wash hands.
Especially
for little toddlers and stuff. When they come home from school, or when you're picking them up and you're running errands, go back to the pandemic. Where what did I see in the article today? It's a tridemic. This
yes.
Yes. To what Missy said. Wash hands. That's the number one thing. So
yes. And for y'all, I probably shouldn't say this, but I don't care, because y'all don't control my life. For y'all that's walking out these bathrooms and not washing your nasty hands, cut it out. Cut it out in 2022. Stop walking out the bathroom and not washing your hands. That's okay. It's not. I understand you might have hand sanitizer hanging on your purse, but it's soap and water right here. If you're in a bathroom, there is a sink and it's hot water. Hot water is gonna work better any day. So stop walking past these bathrooms.
Who else got their kid deciding their kid's gonna wash his own hands?
No.
And don't put soap on and stick your hands under the water and rinse
and let it
soap
just
off.
wash it right off. You
That
didn't
is
even
not.
Yeah,
cover it with
please
the other
what?
foam.
What is it?
My Apple Watch be
here,
keeping me honest. It's
here,
like 20 seconds countdown. And it's like, you only wash for 10. I'm like, son, you didn't pick up the water noise. I've been washing for 20.
Yes, you got to wash. You got to wet your hands. Put that good, if you got an antibacterial, if you are out in public, you got to get the soap that's in there. I still, out in public, I'll still use hand sanitizer after, but wash your hands. Sing the happy birthday song, sing the ABC song, sing a couple of songs, sing something while you rub it. That is the happy birthday song is not from the time you stick your hand under. No, it's the whole time
you're doggone shame that you even have to say this.
Like, it's a shame. And if you got longer fingernails, don't forget to get under the spaces under your fingernails. Get your rings and everything, whatever you have.
And if you feel like you can't, get a brush, get a fingernail brush, because they sell them still. The same one you use at the nail parlor, you can buy that for 25 cents.
Yeah. But on the same topic, I know our kids are kids, but even y'all kids, like sometimes I will look underneath Mouse's fingernail and be like, what, why, when? Like, how did that?
Because they're nasty. Children are germ breakers.
And I don't like, people don't clean under their kids' nails. They don't.
Just be.
Well, I was trying not to let him have nails too. That's the other thing. I try to let him have nails. He go for my face, yo.
Wash your hands.
Nah, I file them suckers down real quick.
Yes, ma'am. I try to. We be fighting. I try to get
Rachel's down for the fight. You heard her talking about the nose sucker thing. I'm not listening.
I'm already being fought for the nose, but the nail one, now I give him the container it comes in. So he's playing with it. I'm like, one finger, and I'm like, just file it down. I still use that. Yeah, I don't
drop that link for me, Rachel.
Girl, you know how many times I done gave you that link?
I know, I keep forgetting. I have.
Is you feel the bus press on your back to me? Look, because we see them.
I know. She trying to put me out there.
Hold on, I'll put it in. Sorry.
It is 10 o'clock. We're going to do our outro. Thank you all for watching us. I know I'm not rap tight. They know I'm not rap tight. So if you don't know me by now, it just is what it is. So if you need us, we are all about the families and the mommies and the daddies. So reach out to us, our contact information. We have some wonderful new sponsors you'll see when we go out. So we are proud of our people in our village. Let me know if you need anything. Email me. Here we go. We're going to say goodnight to our audience, and then we will be back to say goodnight to you all, family.